Podcast City Network.
Greetings, Earthlings, and thanks for tuning back in to today's part 2 of this week's episode of Urban Nerd Weekly. Once again, like I said, this is episode 10 of season 6, and this is part 2 of that episode. We're going to finish up what we talked about yesterday, because so many things happened last week, I had to give y'all another part 2. We're going to be talking about Starbucks banning on Black Lives Matter attire. Terrence J got into an argument with comedian legend Marlon Wayans on Instagram Live. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to touch on the George Floyd funeral. And we're going to get into today's Rona Watch. Plus, today's topic, well, this week's topic is alternate realities. So tune in, nerd out, to part 2 of this week's episode of Urban Nerd Weekly.
Hey, it's your boy Spaceship, man. I got a new podcast out I want y'all to subscribe to, bro. It's called Urban Nerd Weekly, available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play Music. My
back up in the shit. Hide your snacks and cup your bitch. I'm about to hit the stick, so go and follow me on Twitch. Now watch me crank that herb. Now watch me crank that herb. Watch me crank that herb. Now watch me crank that herb. Hey, what's happening, guys? Thank you once again for tuning in to yet another part 2 of this week's episode of Urban Nerd. We did a part 2 and a part 3 an episode ago, or I don't know if it was last week or the week before. Either way, had to break it up into 3 parts this week. Ended up being a 2-parter. Yesterday's episode was long as hell, so I had to finish up, and I wasn't even finished, so we're gonna finish up everything today. I already told y'all we're gonna be talking about. So, matter of fact, let's just cut through the jive. Oh, well, not the jive, because, I really be, trying to, let y'all know I appreciate y'all, which I do. But let's go ahead and cut to the chase, so to speak. So one of the things that happened yesterday that I didn't get to talk about was, or this week that I didn't get to talk about was, if you guys remember, Terrence J from 106 in Park subsequently went on, came in after Free and AJ were no longer the hosts. Terrence J and Roxy, after a couple of host shuffles and a whole game show to determine the winner, Terrence J and Roxy ended up being the new staple hosts of 106 in Park, the famed music video countdown show on, it was actually the pretty much staple of BET for its, for the long run that it was on television. And subsequently, the hosts eventually went off to do their own things. Roxy ended up going on like E! Entertainment, television and shit, or I think Terrence J did also. I think they both had a lot of hosting gigs after, and then we seen Terrence J. I think he was on E! I don't remember. I haven't had cable in a while, but I remember he was doing shit, and then he ended up being in the movie with Kevin Hart and all the A-list black celebrities of the time, black A-list black actors, and Think Like a Man. And I think he did a couple of other notable projects as well. They're not coming to mind right now because that's not, doesn't have anything to do with the story outside of me giving you relevance to someone you might not know per se. However, of course, you can Google him. I don't know why I do that shit. I should just tell y'all to Google this shit. Like, if you don't know who Terrence J is, Google his ass. And if you guys don't know who Marlon Wayans is, I don't know how the fuck y'all even figured out who the hell I am. But Marlon Wayans, of course, one of the brothers in the legendary Wayans brothers family, the dynasty, so to speak, of comedy. They are, with all intents and purposes, the Wu-Tang Clan of comedy. And there is a lot of them, and they're all in a bunch of shit. But Marlon Wayans is the more physical comic of the bunch, and one of the Wayans that I definitely grew up liking a lot, because it was kind of the early to mid 90s was kind of Marlon's time to shine. He was doing stand up. Well, I mean, he wasn't doing like stand up, but not like how Damon ended up doing stand-up, because in my opinion, Damon is the funniest one, like when it just comes to straight up doing stand-up on stage. I think Damon is the funniest. I think Keenen Ivory is like the best writer of the bunch, and I think he's probably the most organized. What he's done, he was behind In Living Color, which is a show, and he was behind, a lot of the earlier movie projects they held. And then, what I'm saying, I think Sean and Marlon did a really good job of kind of keeping the family legacy going during my era, or the time when I kind of started paying attention to what was going on in the world, which is, the early 90s, mid 90s, and into some of the late 90s before the 2000s and shit. So,
That was kind of their era. And I feel like Damon had kind of helmed it for, like the next 10 or 15 years after that with, the stand-up, the couple of stand-up bits he dropped, as well as My Wife and Kids, which was awesome fucking TV, kept them, and of course, outside of TV shows, Wayans Brothers was also doing movies. They got the scary movie franchise popping off the way. Anyway, that's just a little background. I like the Wayans family. I love what they've done for comedy, especially for black comedians, as far as, opening up more avenues for people, and, just legendary shit all around, right? So, him and Terrence J were having a conversation on Instagram Live for I don't know what reason. I ain't even get into the background of the shit. All I know was Terrence J, standing next to someone like Marlon Wayans, you standing next to a giant, bro. Like, you think you'd be paying homage. But all in all, Terrence J kind of insinuated that Marlon Wayans kind of had it easy because he came from a family that had, like, already basically had some clout in the game by the time he really started doing his thing, which is, I didn't mean to call the Wayans the Wu-Tang Clan of comedy. I meant to call them the Jacksons of comedy. Like, like Michael Jackson and Jackson 5, Janet Jackson. I feel like the Wayans were the Jacksons of stand-up, of comedy, period. You know what I mean? So, that's what I meant to say. But anyway, he's basically saying, well, it's easy for you, because, your brothers had already put so much of a stamp in the game by the time you wanted to pursue this shit. It was easy for you. And that's not true. And that's, pretty much Marlon Wayans' reaction. He was very disturbed by the statement. You could definitely tell that he felt the need to rectify, the shit Holmes was talking and let him know how it really goes, and it just really ups. And I was like, on Marlon Wayans' side, I'm like, dude, bro, how you gonna say that? Because he was like, Terrence J was trying to insinuate that he worked harder to get where he's at. First of all, you not even funny. You not that funny. You like corny as fuck. Like, we like yo as a personality. You know what I'm saying? But you're not like funny. You're not like a great actor. I mean, you play roles for shit that is easy to see you doing. It's not like you did some Edward Scissorhands shit where you really got into character, or you motherfucker did some Denzel shit where you really just make us fucking believe you the character that you playing. Nah, bro, you was in some rom-coms next to some heavy hitters, so all you had to do is be able to hold just your weight in order to make yourself appear to have done. I don't even understand how, Like, yeah, I get that you was struggling for a while in your life. You was homeless and shit. You was sleeping in your homeboy's basement or some kind of shit like that you was doing before you made it on the 106 in Park. But, had AJ and Free decided to just hold that shit down the whole time, you wouldn't even had that job. So, just thank your lucky stars that things went better for you. And then he started, like, barking. Because I guess he's a Q dog. I don't know if he's in a fraternity. But he was wearing a purple hoodie. And he started barking and shit like them Q dogs be doing. So I guess he was trying to insinuate, he was a real nigga because he's a Q dog. But the fact that you joined the fraternity and had the success that you have just becomes more suspect. Coming from a family that put in hard work for this shit. Because everybody knows that people in sororities and fraternities, they're part of this vast-ass network. It's like being in the military. Y'all fucking put each other on just because y'all down for the same shit. That shit ain't no different than being in the gang. If you're in the gang and you get in the music industry, of course you're going to have a lot of connections. It's a fucking huge amount of gang presence in the hip-hop music community. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You gang with that shit, of course you're going to be down. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. That's just my little 2 cents on it. All I know is Terrence J and Marlon Wayans got into it on Instagram Live. And he shut that little nigga all the way down. It was hilarious. You should look it up if you get a chance. It's probably floating around on Twitter somewhere. In other news, Starbucks bans Black Lives Matter attire for the employees. Their employees are banned from wearing any Black Lives Matter related attire to work or anything of that matter. And that comes kind of a shock to me, considering amidst the pandemic, Starbucks is one of the companies that's kind of been taking a hit as far as revenue goes, because they didn't allow people to sit in there anymore. Motherfuckers can't sit in there and pretend to write screenplays and play the stock market and shit, and sip and babysit the same fucking coffee for 3 hours before they gotta buy another one, y'all won't let them use their Wi-Fi no more. And now they can't do that shit. So, I know y'all taking some money hits, so I don't even understand how y'all even got room to be banning shit like that. Are y'all even having enough people in there for it to fucking matter what the customers are wearing? What the employees are wearing and shit? You know what I'm saying? Because when you tell the employees they can't wear that shit, it makes the customers feel like they ain't welcome to wear shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go to Starbucks any fucking way. But I know now if I ever come up and start making a nigga that could afford Starbucks type of money, I probably won't fucking go there, because y'all pulling the damn Chick-fil-A on. Y'all pulling the Chick-fil-A on niggas right now. You know what I mean? Y'all got quality product, so I heard. To be real, I don't really like y'all coffee that much. It's kind of watered down. Like Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's coffee, to me, is really better than Starbucks, and it don't cost $8 fucking for me to leave there happy. You know what I mean? So fuck bullshit. But what I do know is, if y'all hurting so bad that y'all done close like 200 or something stores or some shit, how y'all got time to even say some shit like that? Like, according to Forbes.com, in an article by Tommy Beer, Starbucks told employees in a memo last week they were prohibited from wearing clothing or accessories that mentions the Black Lives Matter movement. The memo obtained by BuzzFeed News contends that wearing clothing and accessories highlighting Black Lives Matter could be misunderstood and potentially incite violence. A Starbucks spokesperson told BuzzFeed that the company is dedicated to helping end systemic racism, but that the dress code policy will remain in place because it was necessary to create a safe and welcoming environment for customers and staff. The memo reminded employees of an existing company policy that forbids accessories that advocate a political, religious, or personal issue. However, several Starbucks staffers reportedly said that the company commonly permits them to don accessories that promote marriage equality and LGBTQ rights. So that's pretty okay. So some employees claim that the company recently gave them pins and gay pride shirts since June is Pride Month. So on June 1st, the official Starbucks Twitter account posted an image that read, "We will confront racism to create a more inclusive and just world. We stand in solidarity with our black partners, customers, and communities. We will not be bystanders." Later that same day in a tweet, "The path forward requires open and honest conversations about racial injustices. It's going to teach each of us to drive necessary change." And also posted a link to post from the company's CEO entitled "Courageous Conversations in the Wake of George Floyd's Murder." So they did all that shit and then was secretly telling their employees not to be wearing shit like that, though. Like, almost like, hey, we just put it on the front, but don't be doing that shit in the store, because we still want the people that hate niggers and shit to still come and buy coffee. Even though we totally cool with offending the people that don't like gay people. Like, the Starbucks LGBTQ plus partners wear the pins and shirts that also could incite and create violence experience amongst partners and customers. Calvin Benson, a black and transgender 22-year-old barista from Atlanta, told BuzzFeed, "We have partners who experience harassment and transphobia/homophobia for wearing their pins and shirts, and Starbucks still stands behind them." That shit is crazy. Like, the backlash following BuzzFeed's report was immediate. Like, comedian Deborah Kumar Bell, who hosts the CNN series United Shades of America, wrote, "Remember when they wrote 'Let's talk about racism' on the fucking cups? Remember when they closed for half a day because 2 black men were arrested for being black at a Starbucks? As we always thought, they're only about Black Lives Matter when it's convenient." As of Thursday evening, boycott Starbucks was trending on Twitter in the United States. Now, as of an hour ago, As in the hour ago from me recording this episode. It'll probably be quite some time from now by the time that I get the episode up and shit. But Starbucks has reversed what they said. They hit the flip. They did the goddamn flip the switch challenge on y'all niggas. They should have put that shit on TikTok. Once again, Forbes, Mr. Tommy Beer, employees can now wear Black Lives Matter attire. After a torrent of social media backlash Thursday evening following a report that employees were banned from wearing clothing or accessories that mention the Black Lives Matter movement, Starbucks announces today it not only would allow staffers to don Black Lives Matter attire, the company would make 250,000 specialty shirts supporting the movement. In an email to Forbes Friday, Starbucks declared that they stand in solidarity with our Black partners, employees, community, customers, and understand the desire to express themselves. The company announced that they are partnering with the Starbucks Black Partner Network and Black Starbucks leaders to make 250,000 shirts available to company-operated partners to affirm their support. Until these shirts arrive in the stores, partners will be able to wear their Black Lives Matter pin or t-shirt in passionate support of their community and humanity, the statement reads. This represents a dramatic reversal of that shit yesterday. Starbucks had told employee in a memo, y'all call all that, you know what I'm saying? In a new memo, though, they told employees posted on the company website Friday morning, we've heard you want to show your support, so just be you. Wear your Black Lives Matter pin or t-shirt. Starbucks noted in its memo that it was merely serving as a reminder of an existing company policy that forbids accessories that advocate political, religious, or personal issue. However, several staffers reported that the company commonly permits them to do this shit with LGBTQ rights. Some employees claim that the company recently gave them pins and gay pride shirts, like we were talking about yesterday. And a lot of people pointed out the hypocrisy, which I was just pointing out, that it seemed hypocritical as fuck. That the Starbucks Twitter account back on the 1st of June posted an image they read, we will confront racism to create a more inclusive and just world. We stand in solidarity with our Black partners. I just read y'all that shit. And we will not be bystanders. Tongue-tied to twist. A lot of B words for y'all bitch asses for not standing up correctly in the first place. Sorry. But, so the backlash following Thursday's BuzzFeed report was immediate, and within hours, like I told y'all yesterday, boycott Starbucks was trending. And the recent incident arrives at a precarious time for the coffee chain. Shares of Starbucks have fell over 4.5% on Wednesday after the company said that shit. And it said it expected to post a loss with as much as $3.2 billion of lost revenue in its fiscal third quarter due to the coronavirus pandemic. Yet, despite potentially losing over $3 billion, Starbucks announced that it will increasingly shift towards a digital customer experience based on convenience, with plans to transform many traditional cafes by adding more takeout options. The company has already planned to increase convenience-led formats in many of its stores, but is now accelerating timeline due to the shifting retail landscape caused by the coronavirus. So, really, y'all only really doing this shit because of what the fuck I just said. Because y'all know y'all hurt and y'all really shouldn't have did that shit in the first place. We're so proud of your passionate support of our common humanity. Friday's statement on behalf of Starbucks partners Ross Brewer, Roseanne Williams, and Zing Shaw reads, we trust you to do what's right while never forgetting Starbucks is a welcoming third place where all are treated with dignity and respect. What's really crazy is that Starbucks isn't even the only company doing this shit. I've heard, companies like shit down here in Atlanta, like I know a lot of people like to eat at the Juicy Crab. They told their employees the same shit. They can't wear Black Lives Matter attire or else they'll be fired. That's some real shit. And even at one on Camp Creek, where it's like you think they wouldn't even, you think they be on totally the opposite shit. If anything, they be pretending like they supported it, even if they didn't. Cause y'all on Camp Creek, y'all is surrounded by an ocean of niggas. Like, why the fuck would you even say some shit like that to your employees? And then, you know what I mean, back in what I like to call my second hometown of Villa Rica, there's a bar there called the Irish Bread Pub. It's not even actually in Villa Rica. I think it's in Carrollton. And they told one of their employees that I can't remember if they wanted to wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, or they told them that they wanted to take the day off to go protest. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they told her that if she did, that she would be fired. Because the fuck. And that's not even the only incident. It's just shit like that. You know what I mean? It really hits. But yeah, so that's all about that old bullshit. I'm sorry. That shit just fucks with me, man. Like, still. So another little piece of nerd news update. Recently, Breonna Taylor's police report has been released. And people ain't happy about that shit. Wanna know why? Well, according to CourierJournal.com, in an article by Tessa Duvall, Louisville police finally released the Breonna Taylor incident report after motherfuckers been trying to get that shit for I don't know how long. Nearly 3 months after the Louisville Metro police officers fatally shot Breonna Taylor in her South End apartment, the department has released the incident report from that night. Except, it's almost entirely blank. The 4-page report lists the time, date, case number, incident location, and the victim's name, which is Breonna Shaquille Taylor, as well as the fact that she is a 26-year-old black female. But it redacts Taylor's street number, apartment number, and date of birth, all of which have been widely reported, and it lists her injuries as none, even though she was shot 8 fucking times, at least 8 fucking times, at least. Like, I ain't never seen nobody say in none of these articles that she was shot 8 times. All of them said she was shot at least 8 times. Like, damn, bitch. Like, that means most of y'all know it's more than 8. But if y'all say it was more than 8, then y'all fuck around and reveal y'all sources, some shit like that. Anyway, and it doesn't even say that she died on her hallway floor in a pool of blood, according to the attorneys for her family. It lists the charges as death investigation. LMPD involved, but checks the no box under forced entry, even though officers used a fucking battering ram to knock in her apartment door. It also lists under the offenders portion of the report that 3 officers who fired in Taylor's apartment, fatally shooting her, Sergeant John Mittingly, Miles Cosgrove, and Brett Hinkinson. And what's missing? What else is missing from the report is the narrative of events that spells out what happened on March 13th has only 2 words: PIU investigation, and the rest of the report has no information filled in at all. I read this report, and this is a quote: I read this report and have to ask the mayor, the police chief, and the city's lawyers, are you kidding? This is what you consider being transparent to taxpayers and the public, asked Richard A. Green, who is the editor of the Courier Journal, which is the website that I'm on. At a time when so many were rightfully demanding to know more details about the tragic March events, I fail to understand this lack of transparency. The public deserves more. The police department acknowledged errors in the report that it said was the result of the reporting program creating a paper file. Inaccuracies in the report are unacceptable to us, and we're taking immediate steps to correct the report and to ensure the accuracy of incident reports going forward, the statement said. Mayor Greg Fisher was less forgiving. Issue a statement Wednesday night calling the released report unfucking acceptable. Full stop. It's issues like this that erode public confidence in LMPD's ability to do its job, and that's why I've ordered an external top-to-bottom review of the department, he said. I'm sorry for the additional pain to the Taylor family and our community. But the thing is, like, and yeah, here's another little update too. They've arrested the officers, right? But here's the thing. They didn't arrest the officers. They passed a bill in honor of Breonna Taylor. Yet still haven't arrested the officers that killed her. So basically on some fuck shit, like these guys are getting like grandfathered in because this rule didn't exist yet. So it's like, all right, y'all, you can't just be shooting up bitches because you trying to arrest her boyfriend and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, they said they shot because the boyfriend was dumping out shots. But how the fuck is he still alive? I don't even, because I don't remember nobody saying he was dead. Like, yeah, so, we're going to be doing Urban Nerd tributes and shit. And we're going to do the full story breakdown of Breonna Taylor. Oh, one of the detectives was accused of sexual assault. Woo. One of them done resigned. Oh, yeah. So when we do the Urban Nerd tributes to Breonna Taylor, we're going to get the full in-depth on that. But, that's a part of the reason why I'm doing the Urban Nerd tributes. Because all of this shit is getting mixed up so fast and I only have a week to get the show together each week. I mean, I know that sounds like a lot, but, with a newborn and, trying to deal with all of the extra shit, little stuff you doing at the house amid the pandemic and, just so much is going on. I want to give each one of these names their own Urban Nerd Weekly episode, and that's all we do at Urban Nerd Tribute, so make sure you guys be ready for that. We're actually going to start from what a lot of people would call the beginning, which is the Trayvon Martin incident. We're going to work our way forward, and then after we get all caught up, we're just going to do Urban Nerd Tributes to, some, cases of things that happened before that. Like, eventually we might work our way around to the whole, what's that guy's name? Who everybody, like, people don't think he did it, but Wayne Williams. Yeah. Like, I'm from Atlanta. I don't know if this was, like, nationwide, and I wasn't even born when all this shit was going on, but, like, back in, like, the 70s, early 80s and shit, a bunch of kids went missing, and then a couple of adults went missing, and they charged this dude named Wayne Williams with, like, 2 of their murders, and then everybody just kind of the whole justice system just tried to blame all those missing kids on him, and a lot of people don't believe he did that shit. A lot of people he contends to this day that he didn't even kill the 2 people they accused him of killing. Like, they convicted him of killing because they only convicted him of 2 murders, and it was of the two of the people that were adults among the ones that were missing. And I, because I wasn't around, I'd be inclined to believe maybe because there was a couple of adult victims, and I'd be very inclined to believe that, maybe out of all those victims, the ones that was like adults, yeah, maybe he did those. But I mean, I wasn't around, so what the fuck do I know? But all in all, a lot of people don't believe he killed all those kids. So we're gonna do an Urban Nerd, like possibly do one on that too. But we're gonna kind of focus on like the kind that's kind of been leading up to the point of now where people are just setting shit on fire and saying, fuck it, y'all gonna kill us anyway, why not do all the shit that y'all say we ain't supposed to fucking do? I mean, that's how we fucking got here, bro. Like, so we're gonna do episodes that give us a little timeline of how the fuck America caught on fire. Outside of the fact that Trump is president, how did Olympus begin to burn? Like, seriously. So, and some people even joke around that when they shot Harambe that it was the flashpoint. I say when they shot Trayvon Martin, that's when shit got just sticky. So one of the bigger events of last week was George Floyd's funeral, which we talked about. He had the huge memorial where celebrities and black people all around came out and showed a lot of support, trying, of course, a lot of people there just tap dancing for the cameras, trying to get their little photo ops in. But a lot of people were very, touched by the life, well, more so the unjustified way that Mr. Floyd's life ended, rather. And as of last week, as of the end of this week, he has been actually laid to rest in his funeral, and he was buried next to his mom. And during the funeral, we had folks like Al Sharpton calling out Trump during the eulogy. People wonders what the fuck does justice actually mean? You know what I'm saying? So, but he's back. He's back in Houston, buried next to his mom, and then next day, his brother even testified to the House hearing about racial profiling and shit. So, and then I come to find out that they actually had multiple memorials in a bunch of different cities and shit like that too. So this is definitely gonna be one of those things where people are going to refer to this point in 2020 as when they realize, okay, so we saw shit get bad, but this is how shit got worse. You know what I'm saying? Because people are calling for some real widespread change right now. It's crazy. Here's something I didn't know. George Floyd actually had a twin, and he's a former NBA player. And he was leading some of the demonstrastrations in Minneapolis, according to the New York Times. Oh, okay. He couldn't have been his real twin, right? Stephen Jackson was known in the NBA as an agitator. Now he's leading a movement. Those who knew Jackson during his 14-year NBA career are not surprised at how he was worked tirelessly as an activist in support of his friend George Floyd. Stephen Jackson has been a consistent presence at protests and news conferences in Minneapolis since George Floyd's death last month. Just a few months after being jettisoned by the Indiana Pacers and joining the Golden State Warriors in 2017, Stephen Jackson helped his new team upset the 67-win Dallas Mavericks in the opening round of the NBA playoffs. By the beginning of the following season, Jackson had picked up a new nickname to pace over the old troublemaker label that led Indiana to trade him. Don Nelson, the Warriors coach at the time, christened him Captain Jack. He was our leader. Baron Davis, the point guard widely recognized as the best player in the team, said this week of Jackson. Controversy found Jackson often during his 14 NBA seasons, but teammates as decorated as Davis and the retired San Antonio Spurs star Tim Duncan have raved for years about his leadership, loyalty, and protective instincts. These same qualities have been on display over the past 2 weeks in Minnesota, where Jackson has stepped back into public spotlight as an activist in support of George Floyd, his longtime friend from the Houston area, who was killed on May 24th, of course. So apparently, George Floyd and Stephen is not his twin, but apparently they were really actual real-life friends. And, people have been, according to him, people have been telling me, Jack, you're setting up for the biggest game ever. Jackson said in the telephone interview, when I get texts like that, it moves me and excites me. Jackson had just awakened from a nap on his couch with his 6-year-old daughter Skylar when he first watched the ghastly video of Floyd's neck being pinned against concrete under the knee of white Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin for nearly 9 minutes. Chauvin has been charged with second-degree murder. Of course, we've been over that. And 3 other officers who did not intervene have been charged with aiding and abetting. I did not immediately register that the man on the ground gasping for his life was his pal from the CUNY Homes public housing complex in Houston's 3rd Ward until Jackson turned off the video and was besieged by text messages from concerned friends. The screams that followed, Jackson later told Today Show, scared his daughter. Like, basically, he found out one of his homeboys got killed by the police on camera in front of people, and nothing had happened yet. So he lost it for a minute. Since then, sleep has been scarce for Jackson, who flew to Minnesota, determined to tell Floyd's story and bring more attention to his fate. Jackson wasn't there long before he had become an unforeseen spokesman for the family and for the larger Black Lives Matter movement that's surging throughout the world right now. After days worth of public appearances, Instagram posts, and television interviews to continue the campaign, including the passionate May 29th speech during a news conference at Minneapolis City Hall, Jackson was in Houston on Tuesday for Floyd's funeral at the Fountain of Praise Church, where he sat near Floyd's 6-year-old daughter, Gianna. Damn, first of all, They both had 6-year-old daughters. What the fuck? Second of all, his daughter has the same name as Kobe's daughter. Come the fuck on, bruh. How much more could niggas cry at that sentence, nigga? Damn. On Thursday, Jackson was back in Minneapolis for a march on the local district attorney's office with a specific goal. I've got to stay until we get convictions, Jackson said, referring to Chauvin and the 3 other officers charged in Floyd's death. Jackson, who is 42, was introduced to Floyd through a mutual friend in the mid-1990s before he was selected by the Phoenix Suns with the 42nd overall pick in the 1997 draft. The two bonded immediately over their facial resemblance, so they was habitually referred to each other as twin, and Jackson became close enough that Jackson brought Floyd as a guest to Washington in 2001 for the NBA's All-Star Weekend, where Jackson played in the Rookie Challenge as a member of the Jets. As a member of the Nets. God damn, I just sounded like such a rube. Jackson bounced around before landing with the Nets, playing in professional leagues in Australia, Venezuela, and the Dominican Republic, as well as in the Continental Basketball Association. Through it all, trips to see Floyd in Houston were a staple for Jackson, who furnished him with clothes. In later years, after Floyd moved to Minneapolis to try to restart his life after multiple arrests and incarcerations. Every time I watch that video, I see myself down there because we look so much alike, Jackson said. It easily could have been me down there. Just let me get pulled over by an officer who's having a bad day and don't like the fact that I'm in a nice car. Jackson said he and Floyd were going down the same road in their youth, spending time in the same neighborhoods and the same cars doing the same things. But I had more opportunity, Jackson said. The reason we need to change how people look at us and put some money into these minority areas is because there's no opportunity there. He added, if I can stand up for a change in the world and everybody coming together and standing together and making history with protests and knocking some doors down to get social justice and some change of these laws, if the president ain't gonna do it, hey, I'll stand up and do it. Jackson helped Duncan and the Spurs win the second of their 5 championships in 2003, but he hasn't been in the national spotlight like this since November 2004, when he followed his Indiana Pacers teammate Ron Artest, later known as Metta World Peace, into the stands late into a game at Detroit for a brawl with spectators. Jackson, who received a 30-game suspension for his involvement, has long maintained that he knew it was wrong to cross the line into the crowd, but that he did not see it as an option to leave World Peace, who was suspended for the rest of the season, to fend for himself. That's what I was taught, Jackson said. Stand up for your brother and worry about the consequences later. And that's some real nigga shit. A subsequent arrest outside an Indianapolis strip club in October 2006, when he fired a gun into the air in what he describes as an act of self-defense, led to a charge of criminal recklessness and a 7-game suspension from the league, and spurred the fed-up Pacers to trade him to Golden State. So yeah, man, that was just a little background on Steven Jackson or whatever, but apparently George Floyd was his homeboy and they used to call each other twin and all kind of shit, bro. I feel like they really trying hard to piss black people off. I feel like they trying to make us mad enough to start some old race war type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause this shit just too on the nose. It's too blatant. Like, it too out there and open with it. Like, they've been, doing this whole systematic in the closet backdoor racism shit so long. What's changing? They want something different. They want to incite something. I don't know how we should respond to this, but I feel like the more angry we get, the more we playing into this shit. But who the fuck am I to say to not show that we mad? I can't tell y'all to just sit there and stew in that shit. But at the same time, what's the end game? You know what I mean? What the fuck is really going on? Anyway, today's Rona Watch. Cases of the coronavirus are actually rising in over 20 major cities across the globe. Which is, I don't know. If it's true, then it's kind of playing into what we were talking about last week. Are part of the intentions behind this protest to get people out and angry and, ramped up and shit and big crowds so they can spread the virus? Or I don't even know which conspiracy of my own to believe, let alone all of the shit that's floating around on the internet right now. All I do know is shit's fucked up out there right now, guys. If you got them, smoke them. Light them up. Because whatever the fuck this shit is either about to end right now. Like this year is the end of some shit. Or this year is just the beginning of a cascading, snowballing avalanche of just fuck shit. Right? Like, is this the moment that we've reached the point in the roller coaster ride where it's time to fucking drop? I don't know. Speaking of roller coaster rides, amusement parks all around the world are beginning to get their talks about opening up. Disneyland is about to open it up. What was that, Disney World? I don't know. I think Disneyland and Disney World are probably about to open up. Also, them Six Flags are about to reopen. Everybody's gonna have it's gonna be limited capacity, just like probably the sporting events are gonna be. Very limited capacity, not as many people allowed in the park at once as before. Masks are required. Hand sanitizer will be available everywhere. They will also be selling masks upon entry if you do not have one. I know for Six Flags Over Georgia in particular, everyone over the age of 2 must be wearing a mask before they enter, or you are not allowed to enter the park. And they're also setting a lot of priority aside for their membership packages, like especially with Six Flags Over Georgia. Once again, if you're a season pass holder or you have one of those gold, platinum, silver memberships, then you kind of get first admittance into the park. But now it's on some reservation shit. Like, now you gotta call ahead and be like, all right, we pulling up 6 deep, and you know what I'm saying, we go fucking be there around this time, because now they gotta organize and coordinate to see if they even at their capacity limit before a motherfucker can even let you come in and ride the parks. And they also apparently gonna be heavily into sanitizing the bathrooms even more often. And by sanitizer, y'all know they just go in there and just hose them shits down with some like chlorine water, right? Like, I mean, but that's all it, you know, I mean, I guess that's enough. I guess, I don't know, that's what's been done my whole life, I assume. If it was fine for public pools, which, hell, it's debatable if that's ever been found also. But I know shit like that is what people are weary of right now. Who the fuck wants to go to damn, on a hot day be at Six Flags, and then you go to that fucking water ride to cool off, and then 6 bitches coughing in your ear hole. The next thing you know, you shitting purple. Like, what the hell? I don't want to deal with that. And I just made a baby with somebody, and we don't want our baby to deal with that shit either. I'm sure some of y'all definitely feel me on that shit, right? Like, even if you have certain health standards for yourself, you kind of always up those standards when it comes to your kids, because you instinctively want your kids to always have more and better than what you had. You know what I mean? But that's all we got on today's Run Watch. Parks and amusement rides open, and while cases are rising in 20 major cities, while everybody's opening up and shit, I look, bro, just stock up, just keep a nice set of supplies set aside for your family. Don't run through your supplies too much. Don't make too many major fucking purchases. Like, try to be very conservative with your spending. Try to get a decent stream of revenue that doesn't require you to leave the house somehow, some way. I know it's gonna suck for guys like me who are content creators. We're already trying to make our way through this saturated market of motherfuckers, flea market style, slinging shit every which way at you guys every 5 seconds while you're on the internet. Already it is. And then, we just wanna, just trying to sell fucking t-shirts, coffee mugs, so we can keep talking shit on the microphone, you guys. But now with everybody trying to get money online, the competition is about to be fierce. It's about to be just like finding a job in the real world. And yeah, bruh, it's about to get real out here. So if anybody wants to join Earthlings gang, get at us now, man, because we trying to build a strong-ass team, and I already get ahead of the curve of people trying to hop on the internet's dick and try to suck the money out before we can all get it. Nerds unite. Let's do this shit, bro, because I'm not with the fuckery. I got mouth to feed right now, and I don't like using condoms, so I'm gonna have more mouths to feed. I need shit to work out correctly. Do y'all feel me? I'm sure you do. All right. So that's all we got for today's Rona Watch. And I think I just accidentally spilled a little nerd moneyage on there, sprinkled at the end. But right about now, we're going to go ahead and slide on over into today's topic. But before we do so, I just want to give a bunch of shout outs, man. Shout out to everybody on Earthlings Gang, man. Shout out to Nano Kitty Cat. Shout out to my guy, Bobby Abercrombie, and the whole whomitmade.com team. Those guys have some really cool articles that you guys should make sure you check out over there. Plus, Bobby is an awesome friend of myself and the show at this point. Big shouts out to Greg Love, my guy Django Fett, my homie Cage Crowder. Shouts out to you guys, man. Shout out to Funny Weird Mom. Make sure y'all follow her on Instagram at weird but still kind of cute. I know it's a mouthful, but it's worth it. Trust me, she's hilarious. Make sure y'all check out my girl Koi Z over at Vibe Time Podcast, and her podcast is available on Anchor and Spotify. Well as you can catch snippets of it on Instagram. Just like search for Vibe Time Podcast, it'll be what pops up. Shouts out to my guy Derek Sales and the Upbust Podcast over there, showing y'all how to buy and sell cars, whichever one or both that you're trying to do. They got some info over there for you that's real hot. Shout out to Podcast City Network. We're part of that family now. I know y'all heard the drop at the beginning. Big shouts out to Chris Wilson and the Chris Carnage Show, a cool podcast that I'll be on real soon, as well as many other podcasts on the network that I haven't got time to get familiar with, but trust me, I haven't got time to get familiar yet, but trust me, all you guys, if you listen to this episode, you hear me say yet, it means I'm going to definitely be checking out everybody's podcasts on the team, because that's the kind of guy I am. I want to see who we're playing with on this sandbox. You feel me? Also, shouts out to my guy Cool Cutlass, my guy Hitman the Hitmaker, man. They got some great music online. You guys should check them out. And with the everything opening back up soon, I don't know how long it's going to be open, but pretty sure they got some live shows coming up. So y'all make sure y'all check them out so y'all can join the wave before everybody else do. And another big shouts out to my guy Vaughn Roberts. Make sure y'all check out I Hid the Car Seat for You on YouTube. It's the full version of this YouTube comedy special. You can also get the audio on Spotify and Apple Music. Big shouts out to them and just everybody that we fuck with, man. But on to today's topic. Today's show is all about alternate realities. Now, what do we mean? Like alternate realities, like parallel universes, alternate universes, parallel dimensions, or just alternate dimensions in general. Because sometimes you have like alternate universes where like it's not parallel, like the time points are different. They're at a different point in history, possibly, or things are just, maybe even time is backwards. You know what I'm saying? Parallel universe kind of is, okay, so let's get into some technical definitions of some shit before we even talk about this shit. Okay, so what is a parallel universe? And now they're trying to lump all these definitions into kind of one thing. We're going to kind of dissect it a little bit. A parallel universe, according to Wikipedia.com, which, grain of salt, whatever. A parallel universe, also known as a parallel dimension, alternate universe, or alternate reality, is a hypothetical self-contained plane of existence coexisting with one's own. The sum of all potential parallel universes that constitute reality is often referred to as the multiverse. And of course that's been popularized in movies like Jet Li's The One, where, he went off, or one of him killed a bunch of versions of himself in different universes, because once the other versions of you die, each one of the remaining ones gets the strength and the energy and somehow knowledge of things they didn't get before, because they share that bonded energy. Which is a nice little theory to, indulge in shit like that. But while the three terms are generally synonymous and can be used interchangeably in most cases, there is sometimes an additional connotation applied with the term alternate universe / reality that implies that the reality is a variant of our own with some overlap with the similarly named alternate history. The term parallel universe is more general without implying a relationship or lack of a relationship with our own universe, which makes more sense because one's a little bit more narcissistic than the other. A universe where the very laws of nature are different, for example, one in which which there are no laws of motion would in general count as a parallel universe but not an alternate reality and a concept between both fantasy world and Earth. An overview. Fiction has long borrowed an idea of another world from myth, legend, and religion. Heaven and hell, Olympus and Valhalla are all alternate universes, different from the familiar material realm. Plato reflected deeply on the parallel realities, resulting in Platonism, in which the upper reality is perfect while the lower earthly reality is an imperfect shadow of the heavenly, and the lower reality is similar but with flaws. Which, pretty deep concept if you sit there and, do enough bong hits and just think about that shit for a minute. The concept is also found in ancient Hindu mythology. And I don't mean to trivialize the philosophy behind that by saying bong hits or anything. It's really some deep shit that most people don't take the time to sit and think about unless you're a stoner a lot of the times. Or you just have a lot of time on your hands and you sit and think alone a lot, but most people don't do that. Unless they're shut-ins or stoners. And let's face it, in 2020, all shut-ins are probably fucking stoners, or else they're going batshit crazy. But like I said, the concept is also found in ancient Hindu mythology and texts such as the Puranas, which express an infinite number of universes, each with its own gods. Similarly, in Persian literature, the Adventures of Bulukiya, a tale in the 1001 Nights, describes the protagonist Bulukiya. I'm sorry for fucking that name up. Learning of alternate worlds / universes that are similar but still distinct from his own. One of the first science fiction examples in Murray Leinster's Sideways in Time, in which portions of alternate universes replace corresponding geographical locations in this universe. Sideways in Time describes it in the manner that's similar to requiring both longitude and latitude coordinates in order to mark your location on Earth. So too does time. Traveling along latitude is akin to time traveling, moving through past, present, and future, while traveling along longitude is to travel perpendicular to time and to other realities. Hence the name of the short story. Thus, another common term for a parallel universe is another dimension, stemming from the idea that if the fourth dimension is time, the fifth dimension, a direction at a right angle to the fourth, are alternate realities, which, god damn. Wow. I never actually read out, because once I kind of got the idea behind alternate dimensions, I never went into the history behind where human thought originally came up with this concept, and that's kind of cool. In modern literature, a parallel universe can be roughly divided into two categories to allow for stories where elements that would ordinarily violate the laws of nature, and to serve as a starting point for speculative fiction. Ask oneself, what if event turned out differently? What if insert event here turned out differently? Examples of the former include Terry Pratchett's Discworld and C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia, while examples of the latter include Harry Turtledove's World War series. A parallel universe, or more specifically, continued interaction between a parallel universe and your own, may serve as a central plot point, or it may simply be mentioned and quickly dismissed, having served its purpose of establishing a realm unconstrained by realism. The aforementioned Discworld, for example, only very rarely mentions our world by any other worlds, as setting the book on a parallel universe instead of our reality is to allow for the magic on the disc. The Chronicles of Narnia also utilizes this to a lesser extent. The idea of a parallel universe are brought up but only briefly mentioned in the introduction and ending, and its main purpose is to bring protagonism from our reality to the setting of the books. It's been used a lot in science fiction. While technically incorrect and looked down upon by hard science fiction fans and authors, the idea of another dimension has become synonymous with the term parallel universe, and it kind of grinds my gears that people kind of mix those things up too. So I'm glad I did continue reading this, because I was going to have a hard time trying to figure out my own way to create a distinction between the two, but it looks like they've already taken care of that here. The idea of another dimension has become synonymous with the term parallel universe. The usage is particularly common in movies, television, and comic books, and much less so in modern prose science fiction. The idea of a parallel world was first introduced in comic books with the publication of The Flash number 123, The Flash of, not The Flash, but Flash of Two Worlds. In written science fiction, New Dimension more commonly and more accurately refers to additional coordinate axes beyond the three spatial axes from which we are used to or familiar with. By proposing travel along these extra axes, which are not normally perceptible, the traveler can reach worlds that are otherwise unreachable and invisible. In 1884, Edwin A. Abbott wrote the seminal novel exploring the concept behind Flatland, A Romance of Many Dimensions. It describes a world of two dimensions inhabited by living squares, triangles, and circles called Flatland, as well as Pointland, which is 0 dimensions, Lineland, which is 1 dimension, Spaceland, 3 dimensions, and finally posits the possibilities of even greater dimensions. In this sense, taking the 4-dimensional model of classical... I'm sorry for that long-ass pause. I thought I saw something in my peripheral, and I was like, what the fuck? What is that? Oh, but it was just a piece of string on some clothes near me that moved, and I thought it was a bug, so it sorry about that. Isaac Asimov, in his foreword to the Signet Classics 1984 edition, described Flatland as the best introduction one can find into the manner of perceiving dimensions. In 1895, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells used time as an additional dimension in this sense, taking the 4-dimensional model of classical physics and interpreting it time as a space-like dimension in which humans could travel with the right equipment. Wells also used the concept of parallel universes as a consequence of time as the 4th dimension in stories like The Wonderful Visit and Men Like Gods, an idea proposed by the astronomer Simon Newcomb, who talked about both time and parallel universes. Add a 4th dimension to space and there is room for an indefinite number of universes, all alongside of each other, as there is for an indefinite number of sheets of paper when we pile them upon each other. There are many examples where authors have explicitly created additional spatial dimensions for their characters to travel in to reach parallel universes. In Doctor Who, the Doctor accidentally enters a parallel universe while attempting to repair the TARDIS console at Inferno. Douglas Adams, in the last book of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, Mostly Harmless, used the idea of a probability as an extra axis in addition to the classical 4 dimensions of space and time, similar to the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics, although according to the novel they were more modeled to capture the continuity of space, time, and probability. Robert A. Heinlein, the number of the beast, postulated a 6-dimensional universe. In addition to the 3 spatial dimensions, he invoked symmetry to add 2 new temporal dimensions, so there would be 2 sets of 3. Like the 4th dimensions of H.G. Wells' Time Traveler, these extra dimensions can be traveled by persons using the right equipment. Hyperspace. Perhaps the most common use of the concept of a parallel universe in science fiction is the concept of hyperspace. Hyperspace, used in science fiction, its concept is often referred to as a parallel universe that can be used as faster than light shortcut for interstellar travel. Rationales for this form of hyperspace vary from work to work, but the 2 common elements are: it is possible to enter and exit from this hyperspace with reasonable ease. There is a reason to enter the hyperspace and exit rather than conventional travel, usually the reason being it's quicker than the conventional method. Sometimes hyperspace is used to refer to the concept of additional coordinate axes. In this model, the universe is thought to be crumbled in some higher spatial dimension, that traveling in this higher spatial dimension, a ship can move vast distances in the common spatial dimensions. An analogy is to crumble a newspaper into a ball and stick a needle straight through. The needle will make widely spaced holes in the 2-dimension surface of the paper. While this idea invokes a new dimension, it's not an example of a parallel universe. It's not excuse me. Start reading too fast. It is not an example of a parallel universe. It is more scientifically plausible use of hyperspace, aka a wormhole, which that totally makes sense. A lot of the times, and I don't know if this is just the nerd in me, but a lot of times, when I see shit that's scientifically inaccurate, when I'm watching something that's, sci-fi based or just in the fantasy realm of shit that can't happen, or you just kind of dismiss it as, okay, that's possible in that world. However, sometimes shit is just scientifically inaccurate regardless of shit like that. So that's one of those things you just kind of automatically correct in your mind. Like, when you're going through a wormhole, you can't travel through time through a wormhole. You have to, it's just different. You know what I mean? Like, you're changing location really fast. Instead of taking a long way, you're finding a shortcut to this distance. That's the only reason you use the balled up piece of paper as an example, because when you flatten out that crumpled up piece of paper, you see how much of a distance you really have to travel versus going through this little shortcut. And it's more of a shortcut through space, not a shortcut through time. I hope that is like good clarification. But yeah, so all in all, that's a basic overview. Now, the reason I brought that up in today's episode is because I really wanted to talk about, like, how do people feel about, like, the possibility of, first of all, let's say an alternate universe or a parallel universe. Let's start there. A parallel universe is kind of one that's, they call it parallel because it's running along, like, side by side, right along with the universe that you currently occupy, right? Like, it's kind of, you're kind of latching on to that one because it's more familiar. Like, there's a lot of times we postulate, or science fiction has postulated that parallel universes exist because of decision making. Like, when there is times to make a decision, like, theoretically, one can say that each time we make a decision, or a decision is made, not just us, but a decision is made, or things could have went differently at any different point in time, a different universe, or maybe that at the point would be where a different dimension kind of comes into play, where things that didn't happen in our timeline did happen in their timeline, and that's how, like, things change by the time, like, let's just say, in a different universe where, okay, so today is June the 12th, right? And in another universe, it's June 12th, right? Like 5:10, whatever time it is right now, it is that same time. It is that exact same time and date in another dimension where things are going differently. I often wonder in my own personal life when I make decisions, like, we all often wonder how things would have turned out if you made this decision at this point in your life, or this decision at this point in your life. And we also expanded on that at some point. You've all wondered, like, what if this thing happened differently in history, or what if this thing happened differently in history? How differently would the world be? I think that's why a lot of people kind of gravitate towards the idea of parallel dimensions, because it's easy to believe that, somewhere the story played out that way to be known. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever reason, we have a yearning to want to know everything, even when we can't, like, because you only can learn the shit you've learned through experience. You have to experience multiple lives, like, on some butterfly effect type shit, and be able to fit all that in your brain to even fucking begin, and you lose your mind. But parallel universes kind of comes from the idea that a universe with its own set of origins originated at the same time as our universe originated, existing on a different plane. Well, or is it? Like, is it like a neighboring plane, or I don't know. But either way, parallel because it has, same around beginning time and presumed same ending time. And, let's just say it's that same day, that same year, in a different universe where things originated different. They have, like we read in Wikipedia, they have a completely different, they might have a completely different set of, like the laws of motion or physics, the physics completely different, their hair could be what in our universe is cotton candy, you know what I mean? And then in their universe, their skin could be what we fucking consider like sweet tarts and shit, fucking chalk rock candy. I don't fucking know. Like, it could be literally anything with different, laws or whatever. However, the timeline is about the same. So hypothetically, they might not perceive time the same, but once you, if you were to get a hypothetical calculation of how they perceive time and calibrate it to how we perceive time, it would be the same amount of time to pass. Now, when we talk about alternate dimensions and realities, that's where not only our decisions and the laws of physics are different in the respective universes and dimensions. However, they have a completely different timeline, different time scale, maybe. They might even have a completely different chronological origin. Like, let's just say they calibrate their time with our time, their universe or their dimension might have begun, their universe might have begun to exist eons before the Big Bang, so to speak. You know what I mean? So, I just always have liked the idea of something like that, because it's cool because I'm a writer, so writing stories, you often wonder, like, even when you make artistic decisions, what would have happened if you've done this thing during your project or done this thing differently during your project. Like, it's because of course we've all experienced loss before, right? And we've all wondered, what if there is another universe or another dimension out there where that loved one is still alive and it's close enough to yours to where, what if you could just go there, live there, and still get to enjoy that person? But deep down, it's kind of not the same. You know what I mean? Like, even when you bring people back from the dead, which hypothetically we see that is bringing them back from a different dimension that their soul has traveled to, they're not the same once they come back. You ever seen every movie where you bring someone back from the dead? They're never the same. They're always either a murderer or in the least bit an asshole. So, it's, but just a little, nerd food for thought. Like, what, like, if you could travel to meet, like, all the alternate versions of you, would you do it? Matter of fact, we're gonna have an impromptu question of the week. If you could travel and meet all the different versions of you in different dimensions and universes, like, would you? And how do you think that would go? That sounds like an essay question. But if y'all got time on your hands, man, let me know and I will read every fucking story y'all send me. I swear to God, word for word, give everybody credit. I'm interested to know, because I would definitely love to meet the alternate universe and alternate dimension versions of me. I'm sure one of me is made of, like, fucking licorice or something, and my blood is like, I don't know, fucking baby bottle pop powder. I don't know. I'd love to meet him. I think he's a pretty cool guy. But yeah, so, oh no, that's all we had to talk about this week, guys. Big shouts out to all the friends of the show, all of the sponsors. Make sure you guys be on the lookout for Urban Nerd tributes and more Urban Nerd interviews on the way. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, nerding out for part 2 of this week's episode. And look at this shit. It's long as hell too. I don't know what am we. I'm contemplating going back to doing 2 episodes a week. But then if I start doing that and then commit to it, it's so much harder to keep up with than just trying to do one. Maybe I should just do one long ass episode every week and just plan it that way. But then I don't know, the pressure would get too big, because then I gotta create a 3-hour show every week or a 2-hour show every week, and then I'm like, because y'all know some days I give y'all episodes with something like 30 minutes, but some weeks don't shit happen. Like some weeks, like, and then especially now where our like bar of what the fuck is going on is so high. Like, all the news is like, dude, what the fuck is that? Dude, what the fuck? Like, every news fucking report now is, bruh, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck? When the fuck? Why the fuck? The fuck? The fuck? The fuck? Like, I could create a whole new podcast just called The Fuck, and then it would just be fucking crazy-ass headlines and shit. I thought about doing that, but it's hard to find crazy-ass headlines every week. Especially when it don't be regular shit happening every week for me to talk about. And I gotta find crazy shit that's happening every week. And I mean, in a year like 2020, it would be kind of easy to run that podcast. But let's just say next year is chill as fuck. Then I'm done, right? Because what the hell is going on now? Let's revisit the parallel universe shit we talked about last year, guys. But just shut the fuck up. Get off the damn microphone. But in all seriousness, thanks for tuning in and nerding out. We will be back at you guys next week, and who knows, I might have Nano Kitty Cat in the studio. Feeling like I got a lot of loose change rolling around. Might be able to go put some gas in the car and go get her. But love you guys, and make sure you check her segment of Kitty's Corner out on the Urban Nerd Weekly Facebook page, and we'll fuck with you on the internets, guys. My name is Space. I was here, but now I'm